Greetings, everybody. I'm going to touch on the Mutabaruka and the Fantan Mojah saga. And at best, it's a bit schizophrenic. And if you take a peripheral view at it, it's a bit hypocritic. Is that a word? Hypocrisy. A lot of hypocrisy is going on with this whole thing. And I'm forced to ask the question, is this another distraction? Now, Mutabaruka is a man that I admire a lot. He was introduced to me some years ago by my partner, who had me waking up at like 12 o'clock in the morning to listen to him on Stepping Razor, either Stepping Razor or Cutting Edge. I can't remember which one came early in the morning, but I'm a big fan. I'm traveling on the go bus to work, and sometimes when he says things and I laugh out loud, I got people in the go bus kind of giving me the dirty look. So that I'm a real fan of Muta. And I've listened to some of Fantan Mojah's song, and I like some of his songs, you know. So as two Rasta men, um, who have contributed to our culture, I'm trying to stay in the middle and not to take sides. But I'm going to explain why it's schizophrenic for me. Because on one hand, I see where Mutabaruka is coming from in terms of when you look at the visuals in the music video, and seeing the Rastaman in his, turban with girls acting the same way they act in dance hall. But I have to also remind myself that it seems to be a crossover song. And so when you go into Rome, you're going to operate like the Romans. And so at that point, if Fantan Mojah is trying to cross over into dancehall, he's going to bring the energy that dancehall has. But Muta is saying when you're Rasta, you're supposed to have a certain, image that you don't allow the world to be confused about. Okay? Now, Queen Ifrika said, Rasta, not chat Rasta, with a bag of locks, chat Rasta because it's about unity. And I'm going to post that song. It seems so fitting for this whole scenario. Then Phantom Mojah comes out and, he responds to Muta, saying that something should drop on his head and, all the negativity attached to this song. Muta, I'm going to be honest with you. The fact that you touch it could be a way of promoting this song. I don't know if behind the scenes, Rasta are working together to, promote this song. I don't know. But what I am seeing and what I'm hearing though, I don't like it. I don't like it because, you know, Rasta have been changing. The face of Rastafari have been changing for not just 2 or 3 years, for years. A lot has changed. The old Rasta man, yeah, had one woman and all his kids with the one woman, as I said in a previous video. But today's Rasta, and for many, many years, a lot of Rastafarians have a lot of kids and they're not with one woman. Now, when we talk about Rastafari or the Rastafarian movement on the international scale or stage, people see the face of Bob Marley. And when you go back to a documentary that was done some years ago, where Rita, her daughter, was talking about how Rita Marley was going inside hotel room to say to the woman who was in that room with Bob, is to say, okay, lady, it's time to go. While she was still married to him. And in the Jamaican stage, while Rita was still married to him, he was on TV conducting interviews about his relationship with the other famous woman that he was with. And if truth be told, every time I see a documentary, I don't see Rita. I see this lady. I don't know who was the wife, and who was the lover, if all truth be known. So Rastafarian have always um, had this kind of hypocritical thing, to be honest with you, where they'll come out hard on other people in society and say, this can't happen no more. You can't do this, you can't do that. Meantime, there were a lot of things within the Rastafarian movement, the double standards, I would say, because some Rastafarians can do just about anything in the Jamaican space and get away with it. I've never heard anyone criticize Bob Marley because people would be afraid to do that. Because the truth is, in the Jamaican space, when you first come out, you're not really respected. I mean, when I say come out as an artist, come out as a great symbol of our culture, you're not really embraced and loved. But when other persons from other parts of the world embrace you and you become this legend and this person who, they see other people respect, then all of a sudden you have this godlike status. And so there's certain Rastafarians who have a sort of godlike status. Well, you better watch your face, watch your mouth, what you say about these ones, or you would fall in disrepute with the masses. Okay? And so Muta being the elder, chanting fire and Babylon, no other person in Jamaica have done this, like fearlessly taking on, you know, patriarchy and capitalism and white supremacy. No one else have done this. No one else have burned this kind of candle at both end, and at a time when you think someone would be afraid based on history, individuals who come out and defend their culture and their race and stand up in a space where people are saying, we don't want to hear this Rasta man on the phone. We don't want to hear this barefoot boy. And in spite of all of that, he just stood his ground. But Muta changed too. And again, I don't want to judge it because I don't understand it. But when I'm listening out for the fire to rage, in this time in particular, Muta silent, or sometimes sound like he's promoting things that I know in the past he would have burned some serious fire on. So when we talk about transformation and we talk about change, we can't just look at other person's change. We have to look at the changes that we make too. How we are imperfect. So whereas I understand where Muta is saying, the imagery of this man with all these women and an image of the bond tree, I guess, doesn't fit the typical Rastafarian movement. But if truth be told, maybe we didn't see it up front in music videos and in the lyrics, but the behavior or the action behind the scene was perpetuating what we were seeing in Fantan Mojah's song, if truth be told. I'm telling people that in our time, we have to stop looking to another person, stop putting so much pressure on Rastafari or Christianity or Islam or whatever. Stop putting pressure on human beings to live up to an example. You must set your own example, live by your own example. It's too much pressure because when people come out with this idea and when life hits them and they decide that this no longer suits my liberty or my reality, and then they want to draw for something else, as is Fantan Mojah trying to do right now, is say, I'm crossing over, whether it's for monetary reason or maybe his mind has changed, or maybe he doesn't feel like living like a hypocrite because maybe behind the scene this is what he's doing. Mota is saying, go in a hotel room and keep this behind the scene. But why should you do that and still be considered a respectable person? Might as well you show the world what you're up to, what you're doing. And I'm not saying this is a case with Fantan Mojah, but I listen to him and I see how, as he says, he was feeling violated or disrespected, so he came out with the disrespect. He's saying Muta could have reached out and invited him on his show and gave him a chance to explain what's going on with the song. And he's right in saying that, Muta. Why haven't you invited him on your show? I know, Muta, I've listened to you for years, and I know when you don't like someone, they can push you over the edge. And so is the question that I have is, do you have some kind of ill feelings or malice towards your brethren, because perhaps something happened behind the scenes that rubbed you to the point where, you say you want something to drop on his head. No, I don't believe you mean it. I don't think you mean that you want him dead, but that's what it sounds like, and that's not a good look. So even sometimes when we're critiquing someone, or we don't like something, the way we approach it, makes a whole difference in how it's received. I get it, Muta, what you're saying as an elder in the Rastafarian movement, but at the same time too, you're not a typical Rastaman, because there are fundamental beliefs that Rastafarians hold that you don't hold. And so things like, for example, another singer had done a song where he says you don't have to have locks to be Rasta. You didn't like that because you're like, no, the locks is a symbol of Rastafari. And so you have strong beliefs in whatever it is you believe in, and you have every right to come out and express your feelings. But when you go hard, expect the person who you go hard against to come and, sort of defend themselves, which is what I think Fantan Mojah is saying. If I close my eyes and I'm not looking at the bubble, look and listen to the song, it's a good song for dancehall. It's a good, but I'm going to admit, and here comes the schizophrenia. When you look at the Rastaman and you hear the words coming out, the word he's spitting, it kind of takes you back. You're like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. But I'm not disappointed, because I understand that it's wrong for me to put expectations on other people, and people don't agree with this, but it's too much to ask people. You have to just live by example and hope that your example will influence the young people, or influence the ones you want it to influence. Don't look too much to other person to be a role model for anybody in this time, because at the end of the day, people are going to be doing things, putting themselves number one, first and foremost, in satisfying their own needs, whether they be carnal or financial or spiritual, whatever. So I'm not saying you can't critique, but I'm just saying the mistake you're making, Mutabaruka, is to expect Rastafarians of all sects to be under this umbrella. They're first human beings, and they're branching out and doing different things for different reasons. The old Rastafarian movement, I don't know if it exists anymore. If it's a passing fancy, I'm not sure. So it's hard to come out and say, yeah, you shouldn't have said all this, without saying that you have changed too. You have changed. And I'm not saying it's a bad change, but the way I would expect you to just be that voice of reason, to help us navigate our way in the time now when there's all this shutdown and all these things. It's too much for me to put on you. But we still have to, speak on it, to say, yeah, you changed. Your fire don't burn so brightly in certain areas anymore. So what if you're tired? What if you're disillusioned? What if you're the type of person that says, who cares? Like, I've been doing this for years and they're not changing, they're not listening, they're still dumb. What if the other Rasta man is saying, I've been doing conscious music, nobody not paying no mind to this thing, and at the end of the day, I got mouths to feed. I'm not justifying it. I'm just trying to understand what might be going on. But I'm saying, overall, it's a big distraction. And it's time for, you to get back to love. I would want to hear the conversation continue, but I would want to hear it where you and Phantom is in a room and you're debating, and you're reminding them, Mutabaruka, what Rastafarian first stood for, and Fantan Mojah gets the opportunity to explain why he decided to do those kind of lyrics, because boy, they're real dicey. Like I said, when I close my eyes, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling this. But when I open my eyes and see the Rasta man, it's a bit jarring, to be honest. So I get where you're coming from, Mutabaruka. But as Fantan, Fantan Mojah says, you could have invited him. on your platform to hash this out, to really hash this out, and part ways, even agreeing to disagree. Because nothing is wrong with Muta saying, I walk on you, so it's a new world. And this whole lockdown is really unearthing a lot of things, bringing so many things that was once hidden to plain view. If for no other reason, we have to be thankful for that. We're seeing friends, we're seeing enemies, we're seeing the ones who are strong, or we thought were strong, are getting weaker, and the ones who were weaker are getting stronger. And we can't look to other persons, we have to look to ourselves. I'm hoping that the two Rasta men will come together and iron out their differences and find a way to go back to the place where brotherhood was first represented by the Rastaman, and family values were, of course, demonstrated, well, at the surface at least. Yeah, I'm going to leave it right here. Stay blessed.